Good morning, everybody. Texas homer Paul Wadlington just goes by Paul according to his tag. Very powerful.
Powerful.
Welcome to the Tuesday morning show. It is a bye week, so we will be looking in the mirror at the Texas Longhorns and doing a self-scout, looking at all of our numbers, our player rankings and certain metrics, all of that stuff, so we can get a good feel for where this team is at prior to SEC play. Another way to get a great feel for this team is to join Inside Texas for only $1 single. You will get a full year of access to The Athletic. If you were on the board yesterday, you definitely had a fun time with our man Paul Wadlington's article. But, of course, we have recruiting, more analysis, team news, all of that. Let's see the morning crew. AR, what is up, man? Ryan Nelson, I'll get to this. Jose, Roaster, Brett, Joshy, Paul
Are we back?
Good morning to all my non-deceptive peeps from Sugarcane Daddy. Man, that was fun. All right, let's just get right into it because I don't know how long this bad boy will end up going. All right. Tejas Longhorns. It's the football team that we cover. Let's discuss them. So we had the big win, 55-0 versus the Bearcats. And some of these numbers have improved, right? You score 55 points, you have 9 scoring drives. It's going to improve your numbers. How much of that is inflation from the competition? Sure. But the point is the numbers are moving up slightly, right? And so we're not some elite offense. We're an elite defense. We're not some elite offense, but we're kind of hanging out in that make games interesting range, right?
Man.
Unless we're talking situational. But there's some big things we got to fix.
There's one of these that jumps out.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's the big thing we're gonna have to work on, that red one down there. But yards per play, 34th in the country. Not elite, but competitive. 0 points per drive. Of course, we had a lot of scoring drives, so that's gonna help that. But 34th in the country. These two ones are the ones that really mean the most to me. Number one being success rate. How consistent are you, right? How can you drive the ball? When they take away your explosives, what can you do, right? If they avoid the right hand, can you actually box? Are you Deontay Wilder? And so success rate is still too low for my comfortability. And then the scariest one is our offensive explosiveness at 123rd in the country. How can that be? Paul, we hit explosives versus San Jose State. We hit a post to Ryan Wingo. How can you not be explosive when we've seen explosive plays occur?
Well, we're not very explosive in our other games. In Ohio State, completely limited our explosives, right? That was their game plan. Play a light box, keep us from going over the top. And it worked. It's a good game plan. So we're going to see some different approaches to attacking Texas. We're going to see one approach, which we'll see probably against OU, probably against the Sooners, where they just bring pressure and they just say, hey, we don't think your O-line is good and we think we can overwhelm them and we think Arch Manning is going to fold if we hit him enough times. That's one approach. We might see a very different approach against Florida. We might see just too high the entire game. Florida just says, we're not getting out of this. We know we can tackle. We know we can keep things in front of us. And we're going to make you prove that you can have a 12-play, 80-yard drive and show us you can run the ball in a way that actually hurts us. So we're going to see two very contrasting game plans in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And there's different ways to play us. And it's up to us to obviously solve that. Jacob Woodyard says, I'm here to make a citizen's arrest. Defamation is not a joke. Yeah. Truth is an absolute defense against defamatory or libelous statements. And that is the result of having a law school where your LSAT's about a 155. That's the product that you get at OU. Paul, the police told me I wasn't breaking the law if I took money that wasn't mine from the bank. Why am I getting thrown in jail? Sandjack, that is the correct question. That is the correct energy. It is very amusing. I could see people being upset that, getting called out, but the idea that what OU did is even controversial, given that they admitted what they did while simultaneously denying it is pretty funny. But that's OU. That's the fan base. That's the culture. It's all about what can I get away with? And if I can get away with it, then it was okay. Then it was right.
I like OU as the defense attorney. It's like he said he didn't do it. Let him. We asked the accused. They said they didn't do it.
Sure, we did it, but also we didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly. And we had no idea it was illegal. That's why we asked the refs 3 times. We also asked them, can we run inside zone? Can we run wide? Clear. It's an admission by asking the refs 3 times. Is this legal?
Well, what I thought was funny is that the offseason, this was a big point of emphasis. And so they showed plays like what OU did and said, here's why this is illegal, right? Because OU did this thing of like, well, we didn't substitute, therefore it's not illegal. And it's like, it's about deceit. It's about being obfuscatory about your intentions, which is, you shouldn't coach a player to pretend like he's just shuffling off the field, like we're going to sub.
And walking backwards, by the way.
Yes.
So he's walking towards us. He's not walking down the line like he's going to get set up in a position. He puts his head down. He walks slowly, and then he walks even away from the line. I mean, it's like, come on,
it's not even in debate. I mean, it's so silly to even discuss like all the nonsense that they do. And then the funny thing is they showed plays exactly like that one, saying this is illegal. This is not a point of emphasis. And they showed this not only in like the rules committee stuff, but to coaches. Your coaches have to go to these meetings and they say, hey, this is a big point of emphasis. The other thing was the faking injuries thing, right?
Right.
And so they said, you've got to stop doing this. And because substitutions are so difficult to monitor, because we're having to read intent,
right?
If you choose to obfuscate substitutions, if every team chose to do something like that on every play, it's WWF wrestling. It's nonsense. The whole sport falls apart, right? So what they offered was a special plea was, hey, we're going to penalize this with an unsportsmanlike penalty, but this is incredibly difficult for us to police. So we're begging you guys, within the spirit of the rules and the ethical fabric of the game, just don't do this. Can we all agree? And OU's over there taking notes. Like, I like that last one they showed.
Our buckle was like, yes.
They're like, these are great ideas. And everyone else is watching it as like a cautionary tale. OU coaches are like, I like that last one a lot. That one is good.
Yeah, it's funny because you watch the All-22 because I was like, I'm going to go watch the All-22 to see everything that happens. The player's not even in frame, right? So the cameraman thinks he goes off field too. So yeah, it was they wanted to play in the gray and they wanted this built-in excuse. Whenever someone commits a crime, pay attention to the defense they offer first because it's premeditated. And so the first thought initially is we didn't even sub. So that means that this was all planned out. They had their defense ready, all of that. You didn't do that. You didn't do that for an inside zone play all week. So that's the interesting part. So whatever.
All that said, when we play in the Red River, first team to what, 17?
Yeah. Hey, we should run it, dude. It'll be
it's going to be a nerve-wracking game. That I can promise you. Yeah, look at rushing explosivity here. We'll talk about J Ray's super chat here in a second. Thank you, J Ray. That's the big issue, and that's the thing that I've been harping on from the beginning, right? Yes, we do have some offensive line issues, but we have pointed out multiple times on the deep dive, the All-22 version as well. Here is a perfectly blocked play. The running back has got to add to this. If you're not getting touched in the first 9 yards of the carry, the first 12 yards of the carry, it can't go for 9. You've got to add to this, and that's what rushing explosivity is. People think it's an offensive line metric. Good offensive line play will give you more bites at the apple. Mm-hmm. You have to bite the apple. And the only person who can do that is the ball carrier.
Well, there's no blocking scheme that's accounting for a safety. That's the running back's man. Like that's the whole point of a running back is you have to beat the line blocks everybody else. You beat your man. And we don't do that consistently. So yeah, this is the tough part with rushing explosivity. And like we said, they're not loading the box against us. Like this is not them trying to shut down the run game and you're getting hit by 3 guys instantly.
Well, and the irony of this, Connor, and this is, I think, an important point. This is the remedy to get people out of both too high and also out of running junk defenses and replacement games and all sorts of crazy line shifts, which OU loves to do, right? Which they're very good at.
Yep.
The way you punish that, drop a 70-yard run. Right. And suddenly that whole approach doesn't look so appealing. And that's what Trey Wisner was able to do. 2 perfectly blocked plays where OU had slants on. They guess wrong. Wisner cuts back against the grain and he's untouched, right? Just runs through green for a touchdown. Those 2 long touchdowns effectively ended the game. So the other counterpoint to that is, yes, can we run consistently against 2 high? Can we move like the chains against a light box? But if you're only doing it 2, 5, 3, 6 yards at a time, that's palatable for a defense because they're still getting you into third down. And that's what Ohio State did to us, because then they're clamping down on the red zone. The best way to bypass the red zone is drop a 60-yard run on somebody.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's kind of interesting that the answer to both of those 2 contrasting defensive styles is the same: rushing explosives and then a little bit of rushing consistency. You know, when they're running that junk defense, you don't want to go to 2nd and 12. When they get you, you want it to be 2nd and 9. You know, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it does matter.
Yeah, for sure. Paul, it's so selfish of you to take Ian's spot as OU's number 1 hated mod. Anyways, I think defensive turnovers will determine Red River. Yeah, Ian said in the group chat, he's like, I'm so jealous right now. Ian couldn't even craft it. I saw him on Twitter this morning trying to get in the mix, but he's not gaining the traction. No. He's trying to get in the mix, but Paul won this round.
Well, and the funny thing is, so yes, is it part of it that it's OU and they have a history of this kind of bullshit? Yes, that is part of the issue, right? It's part of the irritant. If you'll remember, go back to the Tom Herman era. I don't know if you remember this, Connor. When he did the like secure the backpack thing, taunting the Missouri quarterback.
Oh yeah.
I really dislike that. Like, it's weird because I have a part of me that thinks that there is something pure and like great about the game at like a deep level. The actual game on the field, all the off-field shenanigans, that's just part and parcel of college football. I don't care, right? Or I think it's funny. But when you're like actually mocking or denigrating the game itself, I don't like that. And that's what really sparked my reaction. It's not just let me troll OU. It's like, hey man, if everyone does this, our game falls apart. It's professional wrestling. Like, we can't go down this road, and you've got to punish the people who do this willingly, deceitfully. They plan it out. This wasn't some spontaneous act like that they're acting. I mean, that's the other part that's so disingenuous. Like, oh, Mateer was just very aware and he made a really smart play.
Just a tempo play, like, man.
Dude, you planned and you rehearsed this all week. You even coached Isaiah Saitania's body language. Like, give me a break. Like, so it's just, that's the gross part, is it you don't even have the ethics or like any shame after the fact to kind of be sheepish and shrug and go, well, yeah, we kind of got away with one there. I hope this blows over. It's like this taunting grin of like, yeah, you know, we just made a ball play, according to Ben we made a ball play, is what Ben Arbuckle said.
Yep. Well, like, and the receivers, if you pay attention, they walk off the line on the play and put their hands up.
And Burks, they know. And Burks,
it's clear intent. Like, you can see it visually that it's been repped. Like,
and Stoops was saying it told Burks to taunt the other team to distract them. Like, so stupid. So,
well, and Kanik in the post game talks about that they repped it. Like, so they weren't even on message. Well,
that's the issue, is they're now trying to like circle the wagons, no pun intended. Right. And it's the same thing that happens with every scandal there. Like, they live in a bubble because at its core, look, Texas fans are very accustomed to people talking S about Texas, right? It's just part of the deal. Like, it's a big thing in the state of Texas, but it's a national brand, right? So you're going to get comments constantly, a lot of trolling. OU is a very historic and very accomplished program, but it's a small parochial regional program. They don't have journalists asking hard questions. All their press is hometown press. there's no like, I'm the OU antagonist sort of role. Occasionally Barry Trammell will try it on and then he'll retreat from it very quickly, right? But they're not used to sort of getting criticism from outside the bubble. And they just agree in the bubble to have this alternate reality where, the girl that got her jaw broken by Joe Mixon deserved it. Where, they had the whole stuff during Barry Switzer, some stuff they did that I can't even say on YouTube or will get demonetized. So it's just a gross program. And this happens often enough. I mean, do you remember the recruit they had that drove the girl out in the desert with the screwdriver and was going to say he was going to murder her?
No.
Yeah. Well, that was a OU guy, Justin Chazon. I mean, it's just over and over. And look, when you got 100 guys in your program and they're all like aggressive alpha guys, anything can happen. You're going to have bar fights. You're going to have DUIs. You're going to have incidents, right? The stuff with OU is so constant and so repeated and so varied, right? And then the thing is the reaction to it. It's always this defensive, like, how dare you? And they'll just respond with nonsense and they all agree to it. Whereas Texas fans have this built-in sense of shame that even like the smallest infraction, we're like, I'm so embarrassed right now. This is disgraceful. What a stain on the honor of Texas. It's just a different mentality.
Guess what, Paul?
What's that?
I wish we had Ahmad Hardy.
Oh no! Oh no! Congress get his.
Your mic went out, dude. Paul's mic problems are legendary for the past 3 weeks. But thank you, Ryan Nelson. I agree. I wish we had Ahmad Hardy as well. I'll take this moment to say, yeah, he's a good back. And you could see it versus ULM. So we even had the opportunity to scout him there. So that was a big factor.
All right, my back.
You're back, dude.
All right.
All right. So now that we're talking run game, let's hop over and look at the backs here. Okay. These are just going to be their ranks on yards per attempt compared to the SEC. It's not national. Okay, so Gibson is 25, Clark is 30th, Simon is 18th, Baxter is 23rd, Trey with limited snaps, LS is 18th. Out of 35. Okay.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to see leadership rank on here. I think we would be like top 5 in leadership at all the time. But we need to see it on the field too.
Here's what I want in the composition of football. Okay, I want leadership.
You're breaking up again.
God bless.
I was hearing a little slight echo.
All right, hold on. Is this better?
Yes, I think.
All right, I'm just going to use the computer. I'm not using the evil mic anymore. Here's what I want out of my football team. I want leadership out of my running back room, and I want maximal GPA for my defensive tackles.
Right.
That's how I want to compose, and I want good etiquette for my defensive backs.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are the primary things that drive winning.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely not on-field performance.
Yeah.
Yards after contact per attempt. Jarrett Gibson is 32. Christian Clark is last in the SEC. James Simon is 11th. CJ Baxter is 15th. Trey Wisner is 33rd in yards after contact per attempt. And then elusivity rating is where they're basically like adding up missed tackles and and then dividing by 100 and all that. So this is just the elusivity rankings. We have Gibson 22nd, Clark at 29th, Simon at 19th, Baxter at 31st, Wisner at 21st.
21st in
elusivity. So missing tackle, all that stuff.
All running backs?
Yeah.
What's the metric? All of the running backs in the country?
No, everything is out of the SEC.
Oh, okay.
Of 35 guys.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I only measure by the conference.
So Wisner's dead last.
Wisner is dead. No, in in yards after contact per attempt, Christian Clark is dead last. They're not all dead last in elusivity, but they're all bottom half at least.
I mean, kind of checks out with what you see on film, right?
Oddly, Christian Clark is really good in yards per route run. So in the pass game, Christian Clark, and you see that with some screen explosiveness, right? And then some decent pass blocking from Baxter, Clark, and Wisner.
I see that. Yeah, Baxter's a good pass blocker, particularly.
So this is what we're dealing with in the running back room, guys, where our yards per attempt, every back is average to below, mostly below. And then only Baxter and James Simon have any plus yards after contact per attempt. So is what it is there with the run game. All right, so let's look at offensive line. Offensive line yards, not bad, not elite, but not bad. 41st. This is where you see the execution issues, right? Rushing power success rate, right? 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, goal line, these kind of things. Whenever you have to line up, everybody knows you're running, I'm bigger than you. Texas is 80th. Pretty good in stuff rate, above average in stuff rate, right? So not getting hit behind the line a lot, which is hard to, when you watch the tape, you feel like it's more common, but you'd have to watch everyone's tape to really get a feel for that. But stuff rate, not too bad. So we have a little bit of rushing consistency, right? Like 42nd in success rate, like moving the ball forward, pretty good in yards per rush. It's just the line can screw everything up and it doesn't work, but there's some plays where the lines block it beautifully. It's bipolar in that regard. But the consistent theme is the backs are not doing anything on top of it. They're not making their man miss in the safety. There's not a lot of like true breakaway speed, that kind of stuff.
Here's also what these rankings don't control for. What's the front?
Yep.
How many men in the box? And the truth is people have played us light or honest all year. Mm-hmm. And that's an important consideration in this, because if you have these metrics against 8-man boxes, mm-hmm. and you're throwing the ball over the top successfully, who cares? It's all good. But that's not what's happening, right? We're getting our running game stopped by honest boxes. So I did think we saw some progress against Sam Houston State, partly because of the opponent. They're terrible. But also, we did pare down some concepts early, mm-hmm. and said, all right, we need to get a double team at the point of attack and just move people off the ball. We got to stop all this lateral nonsense.
Yeah. Before we keep talking, we'll talk about the pass game. We'll hit that super chat. But before we do, let's hear a word from Academy.
Touchdown! Any gate can be a tailgate.
Jay Ray, thanks again, man. If Napier is fired, do we pursue Baugh? I don't know if we do, but we should.
Yeah.
He's a baller, man.
Yeah, I like Jaden Baugh a lot.
Yeah, he's a baller. We don't want another Ahmad Hardy situation, that's for sure.
So let me ask you, how do you work the mechanics of firing Napier in today's environment? Because there's a real disincentive not to fire your coach nowadays, like to try to like NIL your way through stuff, or what OU's done with Venables, which is basically said, hey, you're now our de facto defensive coordinator. You're not to interact with the offense. You're not in charge of personnel, but you're a damn good defensive coordinator. You just do that, right? And he's a useful fall guy, right, for the people that are actually running the program now. So there's that approach, but Napier, I think it's going to get to the point where fans aren't going to show. You just lose all support. So how do you handle that? Do you want to fire him in season? Because all your players, the portal opens. Like, all of your players will shut it down. They'll redshirt. Like, how do you manage this?
So they already kind of, last year was the let's get behind them and pay approach.
Yes.
So it's like they've already kind of used all right, let's do the modern approach. And then this next year, right, we were on a heater towards the end. We get Lagway back. Like this next year is clearly going to be the year where Florida, even with a tough schedule, shows what they can do.
I bought into it.
So did I. And because it makes sense, like
Yeah.
when you look at everything. And so the reason that it's not making sense, it has to be some type of coaching factor, right? I mean, Lagway has just retreated into himself. Their numbers are Texas has some struggles. Florida's numbers are way worse than Texas. And Lagway is not reading basic concepts. He's doing this strange cool guy ball stuff when it's unnecessary. I mean, he's just gone backwards and it's tough. So yeah, I think you do fire him. And I think you do fire him in season because those guys to me are going to portal regardless if you go, with 2 wins anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, man, get a jump on it, fire, keep your NIL stuff. And then maybe on this next coach, you kind of adjust conditions, right? Like you're not giving them absolute power. You're going to go with the NIL approach, let your personnel departments, let your, shadow GM or whatever you want to do. Modernize in that regard, like the NFL, right? The front office doesn't always get fired when the coach does. So it's something like that. But yeah, I think either way here with like how it's looking, the schedule is not going to get a lot easier. So yeah, I think you do have to fire, which is a shame because I'm actually a Napier guy. I really loved what he did before Florida. I thought he was going to have much more success than this. And for this year, this was the year that everything was building up towards. And it's not just that you're losing. I mean, you're playing some good teams. It's how you're losing. You look inept. Your offense looks confused. Like defense is trying. I'll give it to him on that side of the ball. But that's the issue, especially when you're Napier, who's from the offensive world and all that stuff too. So, yeah, I think you do ultimately fire in season. I don't think you do it too early in season, but you want to be one of the first in the market to find a new coach or poach a coach, I think.
Yeah, the thing that drove Napier's success that always raised the question mark at was he had a significant talent advantage over his competition. Now, that's because he recruited his butt off and he evaluated really well. So kudos to him. But you'll notice it was a lot of one possession, one score wins against teams that they were considerably better than. And that always kind of raised my eyebrow. But my thought was, well, if you can recruit at that high a level, who cares? Like, get him to Florida, get him up a big support staff, which they have, right? Get him good coordinators, and he's good. But he insists on being his own OC. Sound familiar? And I think that's kind of part of the struggle.
I like their offense. Like when I watch it, it's sound. Like the concepts are a lot of times it's there. It's not, to me, it's not like this schematic issue. Like I like the way their design is. Now, of course, that's different than like in-game play calling, right? But like when I'm looking at their designs, it's like, okay, yeah, that read is open and Lagway does something weird or whatever. But I think the big thing is just what I hear from their fans is this was supposed to be the year and we're seeing crazy penalties all the time. Lagway has regressed remarkably. They can't get it to the receivers. The line's not looking good. So yeah. Do you fire in season or do you wait?
It's just, you got to let it play out a little bit because
I agree.
I mean, they were about to fire him last year.
Right.
And then they all rallied behind the standard and they had this strong finish that you and I talked about. And they were turning all this production and you're like, okay, Florida's, they've got a tough schedule, but they're going to be a bear, and maybe that's still true. It's not like they're getting blown out, right?
Yeah. And if you just don't throw 5 interceptions, like, it's like that can change remarkably quick, right?
If you watch the LSU game with sort of objective, clear eyes, and you realize the result of that game was just DJ Lagway throwing the game away. Florida was as good or better.
They're very similar to us, man, and like some of their woes. Like the reality is if Arch just hits open passes, Texas doesn't have a lot of these problems, right? Sure. And so it's like it's similar with Arch and Lagway. They also have these penalties where they shoot themselves in the foot. Like they're taking touchdowns off the board. We take touchdowns off the board. A lot of their struggles, and their numbers are worse, are very similar on that side of the ball. Play caller, head coach, good defense. Like it's very similar. Like they seem to be struggling with a lot of pro style, NFL style offense. So yeah, but if, like you said, they're playing fairly close with throwing 5 interceptions, like that's interesting too. If Arch just hits open passes, this offense has a new ceiling. So it's kind of, you have to watch this as well.
Ryan Nelson with the complimentary stat. Billy Napier over his last 2 years at Louisiana won 13 one-score games. That's remarkable.
It's remarkable to win them. It's remarkable to be in that many, you know? And some of that to me feels like you're trying to play NFL ball. Like you want this like kind of intellectually dominant, like when the fans hate it, but like he's like, yeah, but that opposing coach at night knew that I made good. Like it's just kind of it's that regard too of like who cares about NFL game management? This is college.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but the distinction is the NFL is a league of parity, right?
Yeah.
So the reason dude, in the NFL, you're watching a game and your team's up 24-10. You're like, I hope we can hold on 27-24 because that's like what's going to happen, right?
Everyone's an NFL player.
Because everyone's an NFL player. But, when you're at ULala and you're playing Louisiana Tech, it's okay to beat them by 4 touchdowns. Like your players are a lot better. So I don't know. That was always kind of an interesting thing about Napier. There was a question up that I thought was good or interesting. Shucks. He's asking about Venables.
We got a lot of comments today. I have no clue where it is.
Got everybody all excited in the chat.
Yeah.
Basically, the question was, do you think Venables is that good when he can't steal signals? And my answer to that is yes. Venables is a very good defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and they do it. Their aggression is very calculated. Like they cover their aggression in a lot of good ways. Like if they're going to bring 6, they're going to put some type of disguise trap where they're making you throw the ball. It's like they're aware of their aggression has the counter answered a lot of times. Where they struggled was Coleman, right? But that's a special receiver. And when you bring 6, man, you're in man. So it's like you're going to be vulnerable to downfield threats. But most of the time, they know that. They know they're vulnerable to that. They're saying, look, we're going to get to you in time. We're going to freak you out. We know fades are low percentage. Like, so we're going to play the odds there. And the odds are you're going to take a sack or an incompletion versus land the 80-yard bomb on us. So it's calculated risk too. A lot of times Venables just like he's aggression and like he's a madman. He's not a madman. He's using aggression as a tool. It's not just pure macho stuff,
Well, and then he'll get you all sped up, and then he'll drop 8.
Exactly.
And you have a max protect, and your quarterback drops back and throws like immediately.
Yep.
And your receivers triple covered.
And the worst thing you can do versus Venables too is, and this is Michigan's mistake, they want you to clam up and play conservative. So they want you to start keeping things behind the line, screens, that kind of stuff, because the defense is a forward-facing defense. They're awesome, man. When the ball's in front of them, they will converge, and they will converge fast. They want you to do this. The only way with a pressure fighter is you have to pressure him back, right? It's like it's Fury versus Wilder. Whenever Fury realized, like, oh, Wilder's not used to people coming at him.
Right.
That's the difference. You have to counter these guys with the deep shots. Auburn tried to do it. They needed to do it more. But you can't just sit there and clam up like Michigan. That's exactly what they want you to do. The defense will eat you alive if you start throwing screens and all that cute stuff. You have to counter them. You have to put pressure on a pressure fighter. And that's how you beat them. Can Texas do it? I don't know. But that's the key with those type of defenses. All right, let's talk our offense, though, man.
Let's do it.
So passing success rate, 87th. We are not consistent, able to dink and dunk down the field, which is something you need when they take away your explosives. We're above average in explosivity, but UTEP played flyover. I bet you Venables breaks out a version of the flyover. Things to discourage deep shots, right? And now you do have to lean on your success rate. So I'm keeping coverage back versus Texas and making them execute personally. Team completion percentage, which is just arch, 76. So another metric of not being consistent. Yards per pass, not bad though, right? 8.1 at 39th. So that's a little bit solid, but that's an average, right? So
adjusted for our opponents, it's not very good.
Correct. And you have to take in factor the competition. And so that regard too. And you see our explosivity is a little bit above average. So that average is going to be, sorry, Ian's hitting us up. All right. So the explosivity is going to bring up your average, right? So it's kind of boom or bust in that regard. What Arch has been really, really great at is QB sacked percentage. He's really, really hard to sack. And so that's a big factor that Arch evades the rush. We'll see here when we look at Arch's stats, some potential issues with how long he holds the ball. But if you're going to hold the ball that long, be able to evade, you're going to have to. And the O-line pass blocking efficiency last week, I think we were like 67th or something nationally. So this is including pressures, hurries, and hits. So
Sam Houston's good for your metrics.
Correct. Sam Houston is good.
3 pressures all game.
Exactly. Sam Houston's good for your metrics. And so realistically, when you get into SEC play, you'll see this be an average line. What I hear a lot is this line is good at pass blocking because there's less sacks. It's really that Arch is good at avoiding sacks and makes the pass blocking look better in that regard. So Sam Houston has benefited us there. OFEI, actually, let's talk Arch. I want to talk Arch and receivers. So let's look at Manning's stuff. So adjusted completion percentage, I prefer over just raw completion percentage because we're factoring in wide receiver drops, those kind of things that don't affect the quarterback. This is out of 17 SEC quarterbacks. He is 14th in adjusted completion rate. He's 11th in yards per attempt. He is 4th in big time throws. So Arch makes NFL throws. You see him every game. That's why his mental thing was weird because he makes these like elite throws and then couldn't complete short. So
next one is tough.
Yeah. But here's a big problem. He's second to last in turnover worthy play percentage. So plays that should have been intercepted, maybe they weren't, guy dropped it or wasn't paying attention, but he's putting the ball at risk even with a low interception rate right now. Average depth of target, how deep is he throwing? He's about mid-tier. Very different than Quinn Ewers that was at like a 5.5, right? That was mostly a screen-based quarterback. So Arch is pushing down the field. The offense is trying to push down the field. So he's second to last in time per throw. Okay. He's averaging 3.11 seconds when he throws. So couple reasons. This isn't always a horrible thing, right? Mobile quarterbacks will have a longer time to throw because they're able to evade pressure more. The concepts, how you're calling the offense, if you're trying to do stuff more in the intermediate and deeper ranges, then naturally your time to throw will go up. Those are positive, not ultimately negative reasons why your time to throw will be high. The inverse is a high time to throw can be a slow processor or somebody just not seeing the offense well, so he's holding the ball. Think Jackson Arnold's time to throw. I mean, getting sacked for holding the ball for 4 seconds, no clue that anyone's even near him. So that's the dark side of time to throw. I do think Arch's time to throw is actually more a product of trying to get downfield, trying to go through progression read, and then also being mobile and comfortable that he can run or evade a defender. But he does have a really high time to throw against teams with really effective pass rush. Arch will make the first guy miss. If you team rush, there's not a quarterback that's going to break that consistently. So if you have good 4 rushers and they're working together like the Texas defense versus what we hope to see versus like Mateer, for example, you can shut down those more mobile quarterbacks that like to dance more. But if you're just trying to go at him with one guy, Arch can make you miss. But this is a potential we need to pay attention to against good pass rushing teams that could lead to more sacks.
One thing about stats like that, you want to see the scatter plot and you want to see the range. So what I mean by that is if 14 of the SEC quarterbacks are between 3 and 3.11, who cares?
Right.
It's meaningless.
Right.
Also, as you said, the construct of the offense. There's a ton of football offense where you get the snap from shotgun, you wheel, and you throw a trips bubble screen.
Correct.
The ball was in your hand for 1.1 seconds, and that gets into the average as well. We haven't been running a lot of that stuff with Arch. Yeah. Even our screen game is like the throwback screen where you're holding onto the ball for a while, right?
Yep.
So I think stuff like that, I think you did a good job, but it's important to look at that within context. People can get carried away with that sort of stuff. Like if there's 14 quarterbacks bunched around the same number, who cares, right? It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it is contextual based on the offense. But just be aware of it versus pass rushing teams. But what Arch kind of saves here, right, is he only has a 7% pressure to sack rate. He ranks 3rd in the SEC. So it continues that Arch is able effectively to avoid pressures, right? The offense is giving them up. The line is giving them up about average nationally. But Arch has been able to avoid that type of stuff. So even though he does hold the ball longer than your average quarterback in the SEC, he's above average and not getting punished for that. And I think that's important.
I'll tell you one thing that's problematic. I sound like a Starbucks. This is problematic. The issue is, okay, if we're going to go to a run game that's more counter, more gap oriented, which I think we think is good for us, right? Duo, counter, maybe even pin and pull. You're going to have protections where we have pullers. In other words, the play action version of that is we're going to have guys pulling to make it look like that play, and then they have to pass protect out of those pulls. Historically, we're terrible at that. Even when we had really good O-lines, right, under Flood. We really suck when we get the tight end involved as a pass protector. So that is something to look for. There is a downside to this gap running scheme stuff in play action. If you don't have good pull protections, the OUs of the world will freaking devour you because they're doing stuff like they're having guys doing replacement games. They're doing crazy shifts right before the snap. And they're teaching their defensive linemen, like, don't take on the puller. Run under him. And because if it's a play action pass, you're going to get a 10-yard sack. You know, we don't care because we don't think Texas can punish us. If it is a run, it's going to go for 3 yards. We don't care. So that's the risk reward that Venables is going to play with us. It's going to be a really fun game within a game in that regard.
It always is, unfortunately, whenever they're healthy enough. So this is adjusted completion as well. So Arch is 7th in the SEC for deep completion rate, which is interesting. And then it goes down. So intermediate, he's 14th. And short completion, he is 17th.
Well, here's the interesting thing about a lot of these metrics. Some of these are just raw, but some of them are contextual. If he even plays above average against the next 4 or 5 defenses we play, all of his numbers will go up.
1,000%. He was playing so inexplicably bad, missing stuff that's this is the result of like UTEP and Ohio State and that.
Well, and also advanced analytics really give you a boost for who you play. So if Arch goes 18 of 30 for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception against OU, all of his metrics will go up. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, a lot of this is a product of a weird psychological thing that was going on, right? And that can theoretically leave as quick as it came, you know, and so things can change very quickly. Yeah, Paul's point about play action, right? He's 13th in the SEC as a play action passer. So that's a factor. Now, what's interesting is like you'll see him take, you know, the Stone Blanton hit or the hit last game where the free runner hits him and he hits the shot, and we're like, well, see, he's really good against pressure and against blitz. But not comparative to the other SEC quarterbacks right now. He's 13th in completion rate under pressure, and he's 13th again in completion rate versus blitz. So if you're a coordinator based off these numbers, you are going to send pressure against Arch.
Yep.
All right. So this is the efficiencies, OFEI. These are including priors. The priors we're in week 4. I think they phased out priors by week 6. So less priors. You're getting less priors here. And of course, I think we were 30 something last week. And then after Sam Houston, we bump up to 22, right? So this is a big Sam Houston bump as well in efficiencies.
The only prior I like is Richard Pryor.
That's a good point. This is what I generally point to with nervousness for Texas. This is situational football. Big moments, third downs, red zone.
Before we hit that, Connor, there's a big financial situation that everybody finds themselves in their lives at one point or another. You know what that is?
Dude, I have no idea.
Buying a house, Connor.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's the most important financial decision 97% of us will ever make in our lives. You got to get the right guy. You got to get the elite guy in your corner. That's Gabe Winslow. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. This guy has never had the yips. It's only yippies when you work with Gabe. Reach out to him. You go to mortgagesbygabe.com. If you'd rather not text him or just give him a call. Why Gabe? Over 20 years in the industry, fantastic at what he does, former National Merit Scholar at the University of Texas. He's got a law degree from a top 20 law school. This guy's overqualified to be doing mortgages, but we're damn glad he does them because we have hundreds of positive 5-star Google reviews raving about the service. And of course, we've gotten a ton of feedback about how much people love Gabe because we recommend them here. Thank you for using him. Thank you for supporting our sponsors, but mostly thank yourself for supporting you when you call this number, 832-557-1095.
Good stuff. All right. We'll get through the situationals here. All right. So standard downs rate did improve, which is good. It's about average. If it's white, it's kind of hanging out in the middle. And that Sam Houston bump there. But these are kind of scary. So passing downs rate, success rate, meaning when you do get behind the sticks, how good are you at getting out of it? 91st in the country there. Early downs EPA did improve with Sam Houston, 57th. Hopefully that number improves because if your early downs are successful, you're going to be in less third downs. It's just that simple. You got to execute earlier. Third down percentage, even with Sam Houston, still 92nd. Average third down distance is 75th in the country, averaging 7.08 yards.
Yikes.
Fourth down is 90th. Red zone, including field goals, is 92nd. Red zone, only scoring touchdowns, is 104th in the country.
Yikes.
Sacks allowed, still good. I've said that's a bright spot of the Texas offense because of Arch's ability to be mobile. So not allowing a lot of sacks, that's important. 79th in interceptions thrown per game. 59th in fumbles per game. And then doing well on tackles for loss allowed. That's correlated with your stuff rate that's pretty decent. And then, as always, returning production for the offense was 109th in the country. So probably a reason for a lot of these woes we're seeing with this offense. The numbers have improved. We got to see SEC still. Sam Houston was able to do pretty good on bumping some of these up. But some of these, if you can just improve, now you're in striking distance of making games interesting, right? Like 34th in yards per play is important, those kind of things. So you just got to find ways to get more explosive. That'll be a big factor because we're not a big execution team. So how do we lean on trying to get some more explosives?
It's funny, you just bagged on the NFL play style, and we're going to win a lot of games 23-17.
Yeah, not because we want to do that. We're forced into that situation. I'd like to win them a lot more than that. Do I post my breakdowns anywhere or just use it for videos? No, I do not post the breakdowns publicly. There's really not a metric there's really not I can post it on IT, but no, mostly I just use them for the videos. And I share them here. I mean, you get to see them all. There's nothing in the back room that I'm not giving y'all.
A lot of green on the D.
Yeah, so the defense, right? We've been struggling with that, but the defense is good. So number 2 in opponent points per game. We've been playing some inept offenses, including Ohio State. So we got to see once we do run into somebody that's really aggressive passing, but we'll see. Number 1 in opponent yards per play, awesome. Total yards per game, if you like that. I hate that stat, but number 1. I like more D points per drive, 5th in the country. Defensive success rate 14th, not letting teams execute against us. But this defense too, if you look at how our defensive line plays, we're not big into like penetration. So we're doing the same thing like NFL is doing. Like, yeah, you can run for 3. Like, okay, but it's third down. We're going to clamp down on you. You're not going to get it. But sure, if you want to take the inefficient route and run for 3 yards, and that means you're not trying to throw it over our heads, then fine,
So, Connor, that juxtaposition is really highlighted by defensive explosiveness versus havoc. You nailed the intro there. Defensive explosiveness allowed. That's how you should interpret that.
Yep.
People are not hitting explosives on us. But we're not creating a lot of havoc. And havoc sounds like what it is: tackles for loss, sacks, turnovers, etc., negative plays. Truthfully, I think our havoc numbers are going to go up a little bit as we play better competition, but our defensive explosiveness is going to take a little bit of a hit.
Yeah.
Both will still be good, but when we play higher end offenses, we're going to have to bring it a little bit more. And that's what you saw against Sam Houston State from Pete is he kind of opened up the playbook in the front seven, not the back end, but so the back end, we opened up the playbook against Ohio State. The front end, we opened up the playbook against Sam Houston State. And the idea was, hey, let's start getting some of the timing down on these blitzes, on these replacements. I mean, there was that one thing that I pointed out in my postmortem, and I think we're going to cover this in our deep dive, of that diabolical personnel group of Trey Moore on the edge, Burke on the other side, Simmons lined up inside of Moore, Hero Canoe directly over the center, our most dynamic defensive lineman. And then Anthony Hill walked up on the other side in between Canoe and Burke. Right before the snap, Hill and Simmons switch. We bring everyone except Colin Simmons. He actually spies. He stands flat at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't drop like into a short zone. He just stands flat. He waits for the gaps to develop. And then he and Ethan Burke corral the quarterback from escaping. And then Trey Moore gets an easy sack.
Yep.
It all happens really fast. And if you're an offensive lineman, I could not imagine what that looks like. Or if you're a quarterback, just a lot of fast guys and there's a blur of a bunch of white and orange and all of a sudden you're sacked. Like that play, that's a material buster. I promise you, that's something we're going to run against OU. Mark my words.
Yeah, our defensive line has been awesome at team rushing. And you have Marcel Reed, Mateer, Pavia, like those are guys that you're going to have to work as a team because the one-on-one, they can do work. But yeah, the havoc is lower in the front seven, DBs. It's a little bit of that as play style too. So this is true bend but don't break. This is what like elite bend but don't break looks like.
Yeah.
Right there.
You're right.
So defensive rushing, same thing. Explosivity. You can have 3 yards. You're not going for 80 though. You know, you can have 3 yards. Michael Taft's hanging out back there and he's reading pass run on everything.
Yep.
So it's going to be hard to get by us. Occasionally they would scoot out for a boundary run because cover 3 to the boundary has some weakness there when you play a safety body versus a linebacker. That's the only success I've seen. And it's like twice on a boundary run. So clamping down run games, which is awesome. Opponent yards per rush, 5th in the country. Defensive line yards, 12th. Rushing power success rate, it's 3rd down, it's 4th down, it's goal line, 9th in the country. Stuff rate, 37th.
Hey, how's a stuff rate defined? Is that line of scrimmage?
Line of scrimmage, I'm not sure on this. It's either line of scrimmage or -2.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say with us, it's more line of scrimmage.
Yep.
For that. But I can go back and double check that metric. But it's either line of scrimmage or -2 yards.
Man, look at that. So we're stopping the run explosivity, number 1 in the country. We're 3rd in the country against the pass in limiting explosivity. That's really good. I mean, fans hate, and I always made the joke that a new defensive coordinator takes over and he never has a press conference. And he's like, we're just going to rush 3, keep the ball in front of us, tackle well. Eventually, we think a penalty or a turnover will derail the opposing offense. That's how we like to play. No defensive coordinator ever says that in the press conference. They're always like, we're going to heat people up. We're going to be aggressive. We're about physicality. The truth is, if you're really good at bend but don't break, it's an awesome way to play defense.
Yeah, and then you can go aggressive in the moments you need to.
And you can bring it when you need to. Yeah. But the caveat there was you have to be really good at it, or it's very frustrating.
Yeah, and two, right? Some of this is like what Sayan attempted 4 passes of more than 10 yards. San Jose State does like to throw it deep, and they weren't able to do that. So that's an example of a passing offense. UTEP wasn't great at it, and then, of course, Sam Houston. So some of this will likely go down over conference. But starting here and it going down to 7th, you're still incredible. Lower sack rate. 53rd in sack rate, so fans aware of the sacks. We've faced a lot of timing. And also, just think about this, guys. As defensive coaches or offensive coaches, you're going to play Texas. Is your game plan going to be to hold the ball? No, of course not. You're going to go to a faster. So this is kind of the counter when you have elite rushers. So we're not getting sacks. Why do we want sacks? To stop passing ability. Well, guess what? We've achieved this. The pass rush is still having a great effect on the passing defense. We're number 3 in explosivity, number 4 in opponent yards. So even though it doesn't go always concrete there on the sacks, there's a reason why the passing defense is having success, because teams are having to be weary of changing how they play against us. Efficiency is number 2 in the country. So at a drive level, teams are not able to do well. So this was interesting. Standards downs rate for an offense, we want it to be high. For a defense, you want it to be low, closer to 1, right? Because standard downs, your playbook's open, right? You're not on 3rd and 7. So we do allow a pretty decent standard downs rate, but that's kind of the bend but don't break methodology that's occurring there. Yeah, you can get 3 runs. Yeah, you can stay in 2nd and 7, but our success rate is pretty good. Not elite though. On those standard downs at 26th. Now, here's the difference. When we do get you into the passing downs rate, we're 6th in the country on success. So whenever those moments of you are behind the sticks, Texas doesn't give anything up.
There's a weird contrast between early downs EPA and standard downs rate.
Yeah.
I wonder how to explain that.
Yeah. I can look more into it, but it is kind of interesting. Early downs EPA for the D is 4th in the country. 3rd down is 9th. So it's not quite at the level of like the Tavondre Sweat years where we were like 1st in 3rd downs rate. So it's not as good, but it's still incredibly good. So that's going to be a big factor. When teams get in 3rd down versus us, they average 8 yards, 3rd and 8. So pretty tough stuff. 4th down, we're 8th. What's interesting here is the difference, but I can explain it. So in red zone D, we're 26. Now, remember, a lot of the times when people have scored on us, it is late in games. And so it's not the first string out there often. So
one thing I noted against Sam Houston State, that shutout was apparently important to us, because you'll notice against Sam Houston State, we were intermixing 3rd teamers in the first quarter. We were playing, and then we were playing starters in the 4th quarter. Not all of them, but 4 or 5. And what we did is, instead of doing the mass substitution once the game was in hand, we just subbed the whole game constantly. That's a contrast to UTEP, where we certainly subbed, but we didn't put in like 3rd teamers early. The last 2 drives of the game, UTEP went 55 and 87, I think. And that's when we put in the mass subs of like 3rd teamers. There was a letdown. There was and I think that pissed the coaches off. And I think they wanted to prove a point, which was, hey, we're not going to mass sub you guys if we're going to have this big letdown at the end and allow a 27-3 game, to 3 game become 27-10. So that's what we saw at Sam Houston. And that's why I was noting late in the 4th quarter, Sam Houston's got a 3rd and 19 on their 19. It's 55-0. There's 6 minutes left in the game. You'd think we're just going to play sort of base. Let's get out of here. We bring a 6-man blitz, and we played 5 across, literally 5 guys standing across at 12 yards. And then those guys all did weird different drops and stuff. And then we did a weird TE stunt on our blitz and got a big sack. And then the whole sideline celebrated like it was a big deal. So clearly it had been said to the defense, we're playing 60 minutes. And I love that. I think that's awesome.
So do I. And that's why it's at 26, right? Because first, when the starters are in, they don't even get to the red zone, So it's there's a very small sample size of red zone at all.
Yeah.
And generally when they did get to the red zone, it would be later in the game and it would be against 2nd and 3rd strings. So whenever it's a close game and stuff like that, I actually expect that red zone to improve. Now, what's funny is we're 109th in the country for TD only red zone. And that's because it's such limited sample size, maybe 4, 3 type of things. And that small, and they would score versus the 2nd and 3rd strings. So, if it's that high at 75% and they had 3 attempts and they scored twice, whatever it is, that's why you're seeing that number so high. Once again, you need more sample size for the 109th thing there.
Can we take a break and service the chat very quickly? Sure. All right. So Ryan Nelson asks a good question. Paul, what do you think that Washington offense will do against Ohio State's defense? Williams is a special talent. So, Brian, I have a very high opinion of Washington's skill players. I have a very low opinion of their trench players. So it's a really interesting team with a lot of beta, like a lot of variability, because they're not very good up front on the O-line or their D-line, but they have this really skilled, talented secondary and then really good skill players. They got Jonah Coleman at running back, Boston, not David Boston, but Denzel Boston at wide receiver, obviously Williams. They're really talented in the skill positions, but I don't know how that's going to play against Ohio State. I think Washington's going to have to scheme up a bunch of stuff, and they're playing at home. They've got a great home field advantage, but I think they're going to have to scheme up a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of shots and like screen game and like unexpected things, which Jed Fish is good at. But Ohio State, down after down, is going to grind on them because Washington does not have the trench guys.
Paul, do you believe since Lagway's interception happy, do you believe our defense will throw all types of looks at him at Lagway? I'm going through the LSU Florida game, and at least the first pick he throws on the sideline, that's exactly what they do. They drop a guy underneath, and Lagway throws it regardless. Lagway's not seeing anything right now, so yeah, I think that's a great strategy.
Yeah, I saw a lot of LSU just dropping unexpected guys or baiting, and then a safety breaks on the ball. LSU had the one safety who played 9 snaps and he had 2 picks. So, I mean, Lagway just threw the game away. I mean, it's not happening. If you would have said this game was influenced by sports gambling, I would have believed you, because some of the throws he made were unbelievably bad. And in the game context, like multiple times where Florida would drive into LSU territory, they can make it a 1-score game, kick a field goal. They have an awesome field goal kicker. And on a 3rd and 11 on the 30, where you cannot throw an interception or take a sack, Lagway would take an interception, take a sack or throw an interception. And it's mystifying. So I think he's injured. I think he's confused. I think he's like regressed because he didn't have an off season. He was injured he didn't go to live throwing until a week before the season. He was not allowed to throw. So he's a guy struggling. Like he needs a life raft, but Texas is not going to give him one.
Yeah. Paul, how do you think the Ohio State defense stacks up against Oklahoma's defense?
Comparable, just strengths in different areas. So Ohio State has a very good secondary, very, very good linebackers. OU has good linebackers, not as good as Ohio State's. There's no one on OU's secondary that can compare to Downs. Like that's different level. And I liked like Styles, the other corner for Ohio State. I thought he was good. Igman actually played pretty well against us, truthfully.
So did was it McLean?
Yeah, the other safety. They're talented back there. And I love their linebackers. Their linebackers were great. Their front is not as good as OU's. OU's front's really good, and they're deep. And they can bring guys like endlessly.
And they invest in that. Like Ohio State was playing back. OU is going to play a lot of.
They're going to play us very differently from what how Ohio State played us.
Yeah.
But they're still trying to achieve the same goal, which is, declaw Arch, because they understand that he's the straw that stirs the drink. We don't have enough of a supporting cast. If Arch has an off game, that they can pick up on offense and like carry it through. The defense might win the game anyway, but if you take away Arch in various ways,
it's over. Yeah.
We're in a lot of trouble.
Well, Arch is the offense, right? Like people are like, man, if you look at Arch's touchdown generation, he like is close to leading in the country. I'm like, that's cool. But also if you take Arch away, then there's no offense, and so you would like it actually to be more spread out. You would like running backs to have more rushing touchdowns because like you said, if you confuse Arch or he has off game or something happens, then there's not much to lean on regardless. All right, defense 35th in generating interceptions per game. Not a ton of people just throwing it up or trying to throw it deep versus us. It's a lot of in front of the defense, quick game. So I want to see, how that Jelani McDonald wasn't playing around. He's like, I'm getting me a pick, dude, before half. Fumbles per game, 48th. So not a great turnover team right now, but we just have to see how much of that is play style or if it's just a legitimate issue with the defense this year. And pretty good returning production. Team-wise, 121st in penalties per game. So, and we had penalties per game versus Sam Houston. This is just a problem. This is just something you're going to have to work around. You're going to have to work around it. I don't know how you're going to work around it. Just hope they don't kill you. Luck rating. This is just something I think is fun. There's some things that you attribute to luck, like the bounce of the ball on a fumble at times, all those things. It's just fun to track. We're 95th in luck rating. So it means, to me, I like it when your luck rating is low and your execution is high, because it means you're not just getting lucky, right? But we're not on the plus side of quote unquote luck. Take it with a grain of salt. I just like to track it.
Jack Bomeister in the house. Net field position.
Yep, net field position, and that's a big factor. The defense has been doing everything they can to put they're playing as complimentary here you go football as they can with the offense. Like the starting field position of the offense alone is like 4th in the country. We're averaging like starting at the 37. They're almost giving us 20 yards. So the defense is doing everything they can to help the offense. It's not like they're leaving them in a lurch. Special teams has improved this year, 15th in the country, and strength of schedule so far, we've played the 3rd hardest strength of schedule according to this metric so far.
I guess Ohio State
is doing some heavy lifting there, boys. So that's a big factor. But that's the Texas Longhorns for you guys. There's our strengths. There's our weaknesses.
All right, let's go down to our schedule real quick. I want to try something with you. Oh, it doesn't have future schedule. Dang. Okay.
Yeah, I just look at who it's before.
So who before the year are there teams that you thought would not be a threat that you now consider a threat based on their play and our play?
Everyone is a threat with this offensive play.
Okay. Kentucky's a threat?
Yeah. If you have games where like you can't score 14, I think you end up in really tough spots. Like, it's like,
all right.
So, and when you have an inconsistent offense that's not known for execution, you might win a game you're not supposed to because that day we're just feeling good and we're hitting explosives. And then also you have the Kentucky game where you're feeling off and you don't hit explosives. But I think Vanderbilt's going to be fun. All I've seen of Mississippi State is their Arizona State win, so I don't know much more.
4-0, baby.
Yeah, which is great. So I think, look, when your offense is like that, whenever you're seeing these numbers in situationals, you got to be wary of any off game because any off game can result in collapse. So I think the SEC is more formidable than we thought.
I feel more threatened by Mississippi State and Vandy than Arkansas and Kentucky.
I think that's fair.
And then A&M, that's a game at risk. Potentially. And then OU, certainly. So Ryan was bringing back a box score from that might be instructive, actually, Ryan. Good segue. So 2009, Texas played OU, and it was a defensive struggle. 16-13 was the final score. Both defenses balled out. We couldn't throw the ball at all. We actually won that game running Colt McCoy, like called quarterback run game, not scrambles. And it was like this little misdirection quarterback run that we just kept spamming because it was working. It was the only thing that was working. And then we ended up winning the game, scraping it out. That might be instructive for how either OU or Texas wins in Dallas in 3 weeks.
Yeah, but OU played Arnold well in that regard. Like Arnold can run too. Like I think the Venables being a different world that I think Venables – that's the thing, right? If they're able to shut down the pass, then they know it's going to be the arch run game. That's where I don't know if quarterback run will be as effective on either side.
There's different ways to achieve a quarterback run game. So the value of a quarterback who can run in those scenarios is there's that extra man advantage, right? Mm-hmm. And so that does take away some of what Venables is trying to do with overloads and stuff. If you have an extra blocker, or you can elongate and then run the quarterback. There were several instances. So I will disagree with you here. There were several instances where Jackson Arnold could have pulled the ball down and ran for 10.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't see it.
You just have to be decisive as hell on those 4 seconders. Like, you have to get out of there, dude.
Pull it down and run, or throw a jump ball to Cam Coleman. What you can't do is take a sack and go backwards. Like, first of all, taking a sack runs the clock, which is horrible, right?
Yeah.
Like, so at that point, the clock is as much your enemy as like the defense. You've got 4 downs to get 10 yards. So that is a liberating thing about let's go drive to win the game. You got 4 downs to go 10 yards.
Yeah.
So your opponent isn't the yardage or the sticks per se. It's the clock and trying to hit a big play, right? And Jackson Arnold just doesn't get it. Like, at a fundamental level, he's got a really low football IQ. And you could say, well, Freeze should do this, or he should talk to him. Dude, he's the guy out there with the ball in his hands, and there's only so much the coach can do. Like, it's hard to watch Jackson Arnold play football under duress.
Yeah, it's painful, and it's been painful. All right, chat. Thank you guys so much. You know where you can read more Paul Wadlington? InsideTexas.com. You can join for just $1 single, and you'll get a full year of access to The Athletic. That's added value, Paul. Paul, thank you. Chat, thank you. And this was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. We got a film study coming for you later today, so be on the lookout for that. Have a great day, everyone. Peace out.